Wow.
Yeah.
So have you ever gotten taken advantage of by a brand where they try to like use usage rights or something like that on you? Like, how's that been?
Um, I feel like I've definitely signed up for things that were not like the
Favorable.
best deals. Yeah, especially at the beginning. But I think now, like, I have a lawyer who reviews things, and I definitely am also at the stage where, like, I've got a huge community. I know my stuff like is compelling. It makes an impact. It leads to sales. People book trips based off of, the things that I share. So I don't accept foolishness anymore.
Do you
No.
have someone that reviews like the things that comes in now, and they know, okay, this is Eden, this is on brand for her, this is not, and you trust their judgment?
Yes, I do. I actually I have a strategist that I've hired out, like part time. And so I speak with her about like the deals that are coming in. But I recently got a talent manager. So I'm really excited to now have somebody who's like really looking at the, like the journey, like where do you want to go next and how does this fit in? You know?
Yeah, talk more about that. Like, how do you carve out a strategy? Because you have big goals.
Yeah.
To grow Black Foodie to be someone who's in the mainstream one day. What does that look like step by step for you? So 2023 is about to come to a wrap. You got
Yeah.
2024, 2025. Like, big picture. Like, how do you approach each year by year, to like elevate your growth and touch new markets?
I think in the past I was just going step by step. Like really, I was like, how do I make it? And now I feel like I'm like, how do I scale this impact? How do I make this better? How do I take this to the next level? And I don't always have the answer to it, but I do seek out advice. And then I think about like, okay, what is it that I'm truly passionate about? And also, what is it that people are gravitating towards? I know for a fact, like close to 8 million people watched me learn how to make fufu. Like people want, and that's because people want to know. They want to know, what is it like in Ghana to make fufu from scratch? Like what, or they want to know why there are different stereotypes about Black people and the way that they drink wine. Like there's that kind of content has gone viral on Black Foodie. And so that also like informs like, okay, this means to me, people are looking to have this conversation. How can I spark more conversations? How can I teach people through this content? And how can I also encourage them and give them the tools to travel to these really dope places too and help them feel empowered? Like I will give an example. I got an opportunity to host a masterclass in Nigeria. And the first thing I got when I told everybody was like, don't go. You're going to get kidnapped, right? Oh my God, everybody was scaring me. Like Nigerians were scaring me. But I'm so glad I went to Nigeria. I had an incredible experience. It was an amazing food festival. It was like one of the best Black food events I've ever been to, of course. And it was on the continent.
Exactly.
And I'm glad I didn't listen to the other people's advice. And I would absolutely encourage other people to go there. And I'm so glad I went to and traveled, throughout a bit of West Africa. So I think like with Black Foodie, I definitely want to challenge like some of like the misconceptions or things that don't tell the full story.
So would you say, is it more like, are you trying to go deeper or are you trying to go wider? Right? Because like right now, like you've gone deep, right? Like you entrenched within the community. So like what does wider look like for you, right? And still maintaining that depth, because some people have a challenge of going wider, but they lose that depth and becomes more surface level. It's just like, okay, let me just get as many eyeballs as I can. And sometimes you can get lost in the sauce just to try and go wider. So how do you maintain that balance?
Staying true to the vision, staying true to the purpose and the mission. It's always been about celebrating Black food culture, about celebrating these restaurants, about digging a bit deeper. So maintain they when I look at content, I think it can serve many different purposes.
Yeah.
I do think that you can make a video that just gets a wider audience, like maybe it's like, oh, there's this viral trend and I'm going to add an African touch to it or something like that. But then there's like the things that go deeper, like, oh, I'm going to talk to a sommelier about what it's like being Black in the wine industry. And people still resonate with that too, So I think they're like, you don't necessarily have to choose all the time. That's my answer. Yeah.
So You have a lot of ways to go with this, man. Because over the last 3 weeks since we last chat, you've done a lot. You know, I actually want to ask you this: what would you like to talk about that you don't get asked about regularly?
Oh, I would love to talk to you about the journey of. So, like, people are like, "Oh, you must like eat a lot of great food," and I do. But I also meet a lot of interesting people. Like the people that work at restaurants, the people that are cooking your food have such interesting stories. How they came to this country, how they started their business, the hustle, the challenges. Like I have sat down with some of like the most interesting people ever. And I think that's something that I want to tell more of because I was doing this like with my phone, on my own. And now I'm trying to, expand and get a production team and a crew together and really dig a little bit deeper into their personal stories. So I think that's something people might not recognize. But like for me, one of the best parts about this is the fact that I get to like interview people and talk to them about their journeys.
Who's one of your biggest standouts?
Whew. There are many standouts. Man, I can't remember his name. I wish I remembered his name. Oh man. But he was he was a chef at Alta restaurant in Los Angeles. It was a really dope black restaurant. And he was in prison for several years. And he was like, the only thing I learned how to cook were drugs. Like he did not have the culinary background, but he learned and he took that passion and became like an amazing chef. And he was just so funny and interesting. And I was like, the journey, like to be able to have this job now that like feeds people and like makes such a positive impact and like transform his life. That was something that was really interesting and stuck with me.
That's a
Yeah.
huge journey.
I think that's
Yeah.
missing because, I've worked in the restaurant business as well, like over maybe fast food, also like serving restaurants. The chefs are always interesting all the time. Like you'll be back there just like maybe picking up some tongs or whatever. And they just start going off about how their grandma did this, their kid did that. And they're always good storytellers.
They are.
All the time.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I think if you mix that infusion of personality of like behind the kitchen or something like that,
Yes.
like call it something like that, and then
Yeah.
go behind the kitchen and talk to these people, have like set questions. I think that could be a good mini series from
Thank
city
you.
to city.
I know. I'm with you. I want to do that. The other thing I want to talk about, because you said what's something you want to talk about, is a big blessing of mine with Black Foodie has been travel, and I grew up in Windsor. I went to like
Shout out to the Southwest.
Shout out to the Southwest.
Sarnia,
Exactly.
man.
Yeah,
Windsor.
Sarnia. I forgot. Yeah, both from border areas. So like, I grew up in a very like white school. I was always looking for community. I was like, when I came to Toronto, I was stunned. I was saying hi to every East African and they were looking at me like, who are you? Like, that's not what they do here. There's so many of us. But I've been able to see like what does it mean to be black in these different spaces, because it's very different being black in Toronto than it is being black in Atlanta, than it is being black in DC, than it is being black in Lagos, than it is being black in Ghana. Like there's just like these different subcultures and like diaspora communities, and the slang, the flavor, the music, the taste, the fashion, like all of this stuff like switches up, and they're all like Black foodies. But you're going to get a different flavor. And that's the thing that I really want to like lean into, because that's been like really fun and exciting to be like in Brixton and be like, yo, wait, I kind of understand that. Cause I know that this slang is in Toronto, and cause it's like coming from patois, or like, oh, I'm in DC and there's so many Habesha people there and they're going to do things a little bit differently with their fried chicken. Like, I love that, getting to see how Black culture evolves and shifts and changes, like, depending on where you visit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, honestly, you are so right about that. And one thing you said off camera, I'm not going to expose you, was that Brixton has some of the best food of all the cities you've traveled to, which is like, that took me aback. I won't even lie to you. Break that down, because
I wouldn't just say Brixton, but just London in general. London in general
Okay.
definitely was. It was just an eye opener, and it was like super cool because there's, big communities of immigrants from West Africa, from the Caribbean, and especially with the Caribbean community, they've been there for generations. So they've like established themselves, and that was like super cool. Or going to Paris, and like when I went to Europe, I had just come from Ghana, so I went on this like little food tour, and it literally felt like little Africa. I was like, am I back in Ghana? Because I saw more people there wearing clothes like this than I did in Accra. So there was things like that were like super surprising, where I was like, man, people are like so proudly African and wearing their cultural clothes and speaking Wolof and doing all this stuff like that I didn't know existed because I didn't grow up there. So that was super cool, like getting to just see how people represent their cultures in different spaces and places.
So it's more like the surprise of it.
Yeah, the
not
surprise
just the
of it.
actual. Because
Yeah.
maybe if you go to Lagos, you're like, all right, I'm in Nigeria.
Yeah.
I'm about to go have this food. So you coming in with the
expectations
expectation.
is high.
Yeah, it's high.
Yeah.
But you go to London, you're like, I'm in London. Like,
Expecting some beans and
yeah,
fish
you
and
got some
chips.
fish and chips and rain.
Yeah.
Some gloomy weather.
I
You know
got
what
the
I'm
rain.
saying?
I did get the rain, but
Yeah.
I definitely had others. I didn't even eat beans or
What
fish
was it?
and
Fish and
chips.
chips.
Fish and chips?
No, I didn't have any of that.
Beans and biscuits.
I haven't been to London, but I've been to Amsterdam, and let me tell
Oh,
you,
that's lit.
I was so underwhelmed with Amsterdam. Like,
It's bland.
very bland.
Yeah.
Everything was bland.
No
The
seasoning,
the
nothing.
steak was.
Did you go to any black restaurants though?
I had it. You know what? I need to go to
Okay.
some carousel restaurants.
Yeah.
You know, in Amsterdam. You know, because I know Amsterdam is a thing of carousel.
Yeah.
So I didn't get a chance to. I was there in university on like a trip that was a university sponsored type of thing. So I didn't get a chance to really like explore. But from what I did have, I was like, these croquettes, these ain't
That's
these
not
ain't
for
doing
you.
it for me. This ain't it. This ain't it. You know, but. London, I feel this like Toronto, it's a melting pot a lot more than other cities like that, you know.
Yeah.
So with that, you know, because I know I had bad food. What was your bad food experience?
My bad food experience. Okay. I've been blessed in that I've eaten a lot of good food. I don't know if it was bad food, it just wasn't my taste, right? So
Very political. I like it. Okay.
I'm gonna be real. Like I'm not the most adventurous, I guess I'd say. So like for me, I did try snail when I was in Lagos.
That's cargo.
Yeah, they do it differently though. It's not like French style. So it was like with the stew, but I think I just couldn't get into it. I just couldn't do it.
Was it
So
the live one?
it was cooked. It was
Okay.
like cooked. So I
Was
think
it
that
chewy?
it was incredibly chewy.
So you're
It
like
just
this-
tasted whatever you think it tasted like. It tasted like, and it wasn't for me.
It was like a hard swallow. Like
It was hard.
Yeah,
It was hard.
And then they offered you more, and you're like, I'm full.
No. Thankfully, it was through like a friend, so like I didn't feel like she was cool with like me not eating it. They
Yeah.
knew, but that was maybe like the one time where I was like, I don't know if I could do this one.